Hey everyone, welcome back to the vlog. In this video we're going to be talking about managing population, and this is probably more so about how do you actually deal with sales, and like how do we deal with sales and how do we make sure we're not selling too many, because we are actually currently in that situation. We have sold too many crickets and we've had to now back off on the sales, and we're only taking on small amounts at the moment. So yeah, we're just going to be talking about managing the population, and yeah, maybe also a little bit of a farm update too, because yeah, things have been pretty wild, and I'll just show you around to see like what's actually happening and how many crickets we actually have at the moment. So yeah, and we've just got all these egg cartons that we get from Chook, or Glenview Poultry. So thank you, Darren, for all those egg cartons. Bit of a shout out to him. So if you do need eggs, definitely reach out and go get them from Glenview Poultry, because we get all our egg cartons through him. It's an amazing help. So thank you, and yeah, let's get into the video. Alrighty, so when we first started Schubugs, the intention was to always make human consumption products, so sustainable protein for people. And then as we started to get a little bit more into it, we realised that there was a massive demand for, or not a massive demand, but there is definitely an opportunity to sell for reptile feed as well. So the last year, 6 months have been pretty full on with sales, and especially the last couple months ever since teaming up with Mikkel on the East Coast with Crickets & Co, so to help fill out some of those orders too. So it's been good. Like, it's a good problem to have, there's no doubt. But the problem with the live market in Australia is everyone, and I'm talking like nearly every reptile breeder, they all want mediums. Mediums travel better. I know I've mentioned this before, like a lot of people get angry when they order larges because they rock up dead, and that's normally because they're old breeding stock when they buy them from other companies. So yeah, like a lot of people order mediums, and like we're more than happy to fill mediums, but the thing is, if you're not careful with your population, you end up in the situation where we are right now, which is where we've oversold on the mediums. And then the thing is, if you don't have any mediums, then you don't have any larges, and there's no breeding stock, and it just rolls on. Like, it's pretty basic and most people understand that. So yeah, we've only got 2 shipping containers. We're not a massive farm as such, but we definitely are some of the bigger ones out there. And yeah, we're just in the first container. So this is our breeding container, and all these little orange, they're just like fragile tape for when you ship the crickets. But yeah, we've only got, there's none down that end, and we've only got 20 breeders now in here. And because we haven't been, it's a bit tough to actually also know how many crickets are in each one of these breeding tubs as well. So there are a few crickets breeding on here at the moment, but I wouldn't say there's probably any more than 500, maybe 1,000 in each of these tubs. And that's because like the cricket population does, you can see there's a heap in through there. My camera's a little bit dark, you can't really see, but there are a lot in there. So I'll probably take back what I said, and I'll probably say there's maybe 2,000 in each one of these tubs. But that's also the beautiful thing. We haven't actually gone backwards with our population, even though we are currently sold out for live food at the moment. We haven't necessarily gone backwards, we just don't actually have the right sizes that people want, which is mainly the mediums. So we do have to be a little bit careful for the next couple of weeks, just so we can get through this little rough patch. So yeah, we do have a lot of breeders in here, and they are still producing heaps of eggs. And the reason why we know that is, if I head next door, so this is where all our pinheads have been hatching. And we actually don't have any mediums currently on the farm, except for these guys here. They've just tipped over to be mediums. All right, which is a really, really good thing. And then these guys are actually probably going to be starting to breed, because they are starting to chirp. There is a bit of noise. And this is really good. So yeah, here's a bunch of smalls as well. So the population is slowly bouncing back, but we've only got up until, was it 17 up there. So nothing down the other end whatsoever. So we've literally probably got half a container over there of breeders, and then these guys are all pinheads. And yeah, like we know there's a lot of pinheads, because you look at that just there, all through here. And I just put up a video about how many pinheads, like we've got too many pinheads in each of these tubs. So what I was going to do as well is, if you remember in the last video, number 5, we started to have a few dead crickets in number 1, and we started to see how many crickets were going to be in here, and they were piling up on top of each other. And I might actually just pull a bit of footage right now so you can see what I mean by that. Especially when you start looking in here and you look how many crickets are all along there. Like, that's a lot of pinheads. These guys are just being born today, look how white they are. So, but yeah, and we're noticing a massive drop off in population. So what we've actually had to change is we have to change our cricket setup. Now, what you can do is you can actually just have less breeders in here. So we've obviously packed this full of containers that we're breeding. So, you know, we could half the number of breeding soils that we have in here and just not let our crickets breed, which is fine too. And then that way we won't have as many crickets in here. But what they're essentially doing is they're running out of space. So you can see this pile just down this corner here. That looks really impressive. There's heaps of crickets there, but the problem is they don't have enough food or space. So what they end up doing is just dying. So the way that we combat this is we actually just put a couple egg cartons on there. So if I just grab, where's an egg carton down here, grab this one just here, and all we have to do, it's a really, really simple thing, is we actually just put an egg carton down on top of it, because then they can actually crawl up onto the egg carton, and you know, a few crickets might get crushed there, but that's a big, big factor that we've actually had to put in place to making sure that the crickets don't get overpopulated and overcrowded. So I'm going to have to put a few along here. And yeah, so you can see there's a bunch of crickets actually piled up on top of each other. So what I'll do is I'll actually jump up on number 5 and see how many crickets we've got up there. I'll pull that one apart and show it in a minute. But the other cool thing is we've been actually measuring out the pinheads as well. So I'll do another video on actually measuring pinheads out. But long of the short is we normally try and get at least 30 mils of crickets, and then we put it into a new tub. So these guys haven't actually hatched in here. We've just pulled out 30 millimeters of pinheads and then put them in here over the coming weeks, and these guys are obviously just hatching here. So these guys are going to be a little bit ahead, but you can just see how many are on top of there. And these guys are, like, if I lift this up, I'm sure you'll see more in there as well. So there are crickets in this tub, and there are crickets on the farm. There is just not the right sizes that we need. So what I'll do now is I'll actually just pull apart number 5 up there so we can have a better look at it. I just pulled apart number 5, and so you obviously can remember the footage that you just saw before of how many pinheads there are. And yeah, there definitely seems like there's a decent amount of crickets in here. I wouldn't be able to tell you off the top of my head how many crickets are really in here, because it's a bit hard to tell, but you know, we measured out all the crickets down there before, what I mentioned about having 10,000 in each tub, so it's pretty safe to assume there would be about 10,000 crickets in here. And these guys are actually bigger than expected too, so kind of in between that small and medium range. So within a couple of weeks they'll definitely be in that medium range, which should be great. So hopefully we can pick up those medium sales again. But yeah, we just have to be super, super careful, because, and this is, like, most people do understand, like most reptile buyers do understand that, like, if we don't have any breeders or any mediums, like we don't keep any, then obviously we can't supply them in the future. So yeah, we just have to be a little bit more careful with what we're actually doing with our medium sales. So okay, so we should have our live sales back up on the website in probably a couple of weeks time, and just stay tuned on the actual social medias, and we'll just put a post up saying like we're good to go again. And like, yeah, it's like obviously we're disappointed and we're sorry that we can't supply people with crickets right now, because we know how important crickets are for the reptile breeders. So, and we definitely will make changes to what we're doing. So what we'll actually do now is, and this is probably for anyone else who's going to breed crickets as well. So every top tub up here, we're going to like not touch a single cricket from any of these top tubs along here whatsoever, and we're only going to sell crickets from these tubs, moving these 1, 2 and 3 down from here. So we're just going to leave every single top tub, they're going to be all our breeders. So in both containers, all the top tubs are going to be breeders, and then everything else down from there we will sell and get rid of. And it's pretty safe to assume that there's going to be about 10,000 crickets in each tub. So when we remove X amount of crickets that we have to pack up and ship off, like we obviously will keep a note and we'll write it down, which we have been doing originally. But it's just that like we're peak summertime here in Australia, so there's been a lot of orders come in, And yeah, we want to help people out, and we want to give people as many crickets as we possibly can, because we do realise how important it is. So yeah, that's how we're going to be managing our population moving forward. And you know, not to say that this video is like super helpful, but I do think it's an important topic that people just need to be aware of. And it also shows you guys that if you're buying crickets from us, it shows you like where we're at currently with the live sales. So yeah, I just want to be super open and honest to like where we're at. And yeah, thanks for watching in this video. And if you have any questions, feel free to send us a message or leave a comment, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.